Hi, I'm Vanda, and welcome to the vlog. Today, I'm going to be answering all your questions that you have had about my treatment for adenomyosis in Chongqing, China. So I went to China in May for treatment for adenomyosis using High Intensity Focused Ultrasound. So stick around and I'll tell you everything that you need to know about having the treatment in China, how it's worked, and how the outcomes have been. And spoiler alert, it's pretty good. So it's been 4 months since I've had the treatment in Chongqing, and it's just a overview of how I've been since the treatment and how I've been feeling after. So just a brief introduction to myself. My name is Vanda. I live in Dubai. I'm Canadian, and I was diagnosed with adenomyosis 5 or 6 years ago through MRI and also ultrasound, internal ultrasound. So I remember the very first time that I had ever heard the word adenomyosis said to me. It was during an internal examination with the ultrasound. And I remember the radiologist, this is how she said it. She's like, "Oh, you just have adenomyosis." And I was like, okay, just adenomyosis. The way she said it, it's like it's no big deal. What I have come to know afterwards is that adenomyosis is what they call endometriosis's evil twin sister. It is debilitating at some point. Something like 20 to 65% of women have adenomyosis to some extent. With my MRI, it was said that I had moderate adenomyosis and my lesions were 5 centimeters. So about that much. What adenomyosis is, there's a uterus, and then you have the lining of the endometrium. And if it goes outside of the uterus, then the endometrium then grows and becomes endometriosis. And that's a little bit more familiar to people, whereas adenomyosis is where the endometrium lining goes into the wall of the uterus. So if you have the uterus here, it actually goes into the wall. And what happens is it then grows inside the uterus, causing the uterus to become heavy and bulky inside the uterus. And then every month it'll bleed. So the uterus then becomes thickened, it becomes heavy, and then during every menstrual cycle, you can have extreme pain. Extreme pain. I finally had a doctor listen to me after going through so many treatments and different gynecologists and stuff. And at this point, the only thing that they told me that was possible was I could have opioid medication, so basically heroin, to stop the pain. Or my other option was a hysterectomy. And when I went and saw this one doctor, she's lovely. And I've since gone back to her after I returned from China. And she's probably going to send some patients to China to have the same treatment, which is really exciting. But what she said to me was when she asked me what my pain level was, the very first time I saw her. And I said, some days it's an 8, sometimes it's 9, some days I want to die. It's a 10. And she looked at me, and it was the first time that a doctor had actually said, in my experience, people with adenomyosis and endometriosis do not exaggerate their pain. And that was the first time that I felt like somebody had actually believed me, that I wasn't crazy, that maybe I was being medically gaslit by some people by being like, oh, it's just adenomyosis. So that's when I decided to take matters into my own hands. And I was very lucky that I had a friend who had recently heard of what was called HIFU, or High Intensity Focused Ultrasound. And she said, maybe you might want to check out this treatment. So I did a lot of research. I went to fusfoundation.org, their website, and I managed to find a listing of clinics around the world that do treatment for uterine adenomyosis. So I went online and I went on to fusfoundation.org, Functional Ultrasound Foundation, and managed to find a list of places around the world that do treatment for uterine adenomyosis. And In my research, I found I contacted a clinic in Japan. I contacted a clinic in South Korea. I was also given a name of a gentleman a doctor in Malaysia that was supposed to be very good. But the word that just kept coming up was Chongqing. So they were actually the training center, the hospital there in Chongqing. So I was like, well, why wouldn't I go to the source? So off I went. um, I got a hold of Mary, who's amazing. She's the patient liaison. And I, within about, after I got my Chinese visa, it took about 6 weeks to arrange everything, but then I was on my way to Chongqing. So if you watch my previous vlog, it'll show you my actual time in China, having the treatment and everything that I went through there, which was an amazing experience. I traveled alone, so I wasn't with anybody, but they took such good care of me and they treated me so well, and they're just loving and caring. And you could tell that they really treated the patient. They treated me, not just the disease, which sometimes I think in Western society, we often forget. Like, there is a person, there's a human living, breathing soul behind the treatment that you were just treating a disease. And so they really treated the person, not just the, the problem, the disease, the adenomyosis. So let's get into some of the questions that people have asked me. I have my list here. So if you see me looking down, I'm referring to my list. So one of the first questions was, how soon after the treatment did I notice changes in my symptoms? The answer is immediately. So the morning of the treatment that I had actually been starting my period. So the night before, I had extreme pain. And they allowed me to take a painkiller that I normally take with the pain. So I took that and I had extreme pain. After I woke up, so normally pre-HIFU, I would have continued to have pain for 4 or 5 days. When I woke up out of I was awake for sedated for the treatment. I wasn't really asleep, but I was sedated. So when I got back to the room, I had a 3-hour nap and I woke up and I had no pain. So yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm impressed. I really have to say, I'm really impressed. I don't know how to tell you this. I had no pain. I felt the best that I had felt in years as far as my uterus. I woke up and I just before this moment, I always, for maybe even the last year, 2 years, I've always had a nagging pressure pain in my uterus all the time, no matter what time of the month it was. It was always just a 4 or 5, just like a nagging pressure. And then, of course, when you're right around your period, just extreme pain. But when I woke up, I was like, I don't have any pain. So the results was actually immediate. And then I continued to have my normal period. Not normal period, a normal period for me, but I had much significantly decreased bleeding than I normally did. And I just felt so good. I literally could have got home that night if I wasn't by myself in a foreign country. If I lived in Chongqing, I would have gone home that night. But I couldn't believe how good I actually felt. Pain or discomfort right after the treatment. I personally had none. As I said, I had no pain, and I just realized that continual ache and pain that I had in my uterus, it was gone. How long did it take for me to return to normal activities? So I stayed in Chongqing another 2.5 days. I just took it easy. I took some naps. I went shopping. I just walked around a little bit, but I didn't feel like I had any restrictions. I mean, of course, I rested a lot because I was on vacation. I was resting, but I didn't feel like I needed to lay down. But I kind of forced myself to lay down because, your body had been through a lot of changes. But as far as returning to normal activities, it was like immediate for myself. Okay, did I stay in the hospital for observation and for how long? So as I said, I checked in on Monday. And then that's when they did all of the prep. So on the Monday before, that's when they did the blood test, the ultrasound, the MRI, height, weight, vitals, all that stuff. And then the colon prep, which is honestly, that was probably the worst thing of the whole thing. Oh my gosh, was the colon prep. So you need to have watery, like a clean colon, so that there's nothing in the way of the ultrasound beam, essentially. So it is like prepping for a colonoscopy. That might be the worst thing. And if that's the worst thing, by all means, I highly recommend that if this is something you're looking at, you just go for it. So anyways, I did the colon prep and all that stuff on the Monday. Tuesday morning, I had the procedure. I was back in my room by about noon, and then just rest and recovery until the evening. The next morning I woke up on the Wednesday and I felt great. I felt great. That's when with the high intensity focused ultrasound, they actually started to treat my shoulder because I had some other stuff. I was like, hey, this is amazing. What else? What other things can you do for me? So just the Wednesday, I just hung out at the hospital. I stayed another night and then I was released on the Tuesday, where I went then to a hotel and stayed another 2 nights in China and flew home on the Saturday. So I wanted to stay in the country just in case any side effects or anything like that happened, but I had zero complications, zero side effects, zero problems. So it was very good. Okay, so other questions people have asked. The first couple of weeks after the treatment, did I have any changes with bleeding, spotting, or changes to my menstrual cycle? So I immediately after, I had a little bit of discharge, which I think when they burn the uterus with the ultrasound waves, like of course there's going to be sloughing off of the uterus. So I had a little bit of discharge, but I also had my period for a couple of days right after the treatment. So I didn't really notice a significant amount. But then my next period, I had a significant amount of like discharge where you could tell it was like uterus tissue that was coming out. But it wasn't painful. It was just discharge. That was it. My period was significantly decreased. So I didn't have that heavy flow that we with adenomyosis usually have. Without being too graphic, for the people that don't know this, I would literally just sit on the toilet for an hour and just bleed because no tampon or pad was like strong enough to actually catch all the blood. So sometimes I would just sit on the toilet in really heavy peaks and just be in so much pain, but just like bleed freely essentially, because there was nothing that could actually stop the blood flow. That has completely changed. My period is like it was in my 20s. Like it's still slightly heavy for the first day. And then my second day, so I've had 3 periods now. So the first day, of course, is heavy. The second day is a little bit lighter. The third day is barely any spotting. As far as the amount of blood, it's significantly decreased from before the HIFU. As far as the pain goes, there has also been a remarkable decrease in pain. I honestly don't know how to, like, I just don't know how to express my gratitude for people that do the HIFU technology and the people who developed it, because it's literally changed my life. So, and I can't state this enough. Previously, I would have pain for probably 8 days. So like 4 or 5 days leading up to my period and then my period. So it would at least be a third of the month where I had extreme pain, like an 8-9 scale pain, where I felt like somebody was ripping my uterus, or it was just like cramping. And then the rest of the month, I would, like I said, it would be like a 4 or 5. I just have this constant pressure and pain and nagging in my lower abdomen. That's all gone. It's gone. So I don't have any pain during the month anymore. I got some, this last period, I got some moderate cramps. It was only the day before my period. And it was, I mean, moderate. Like I would say there were still some significant cramps, probably half of what I got before, but was only lasted maybe 8 to 12 hours the day before my period. As soon as I started bleeding actively, I had no pain. No pain. So, I mean, I would consider now I have like a normal period. Like, as in, I get a little bit of cramping and so maybe I just don't feel well, a little bit of PMS, about 8 to 12 hours the day before I start my period. As soon as I start my period, I'm fine. I have no cramping. I have no pain. It's a freaking miracle, honestly. I can't believe the change that has happened. Other things that may be related to the adenomyosis, fatigue, bloating, pelvic pain, that type of thing. Like I said, I used to have constant pain. Now it's gone. I sometimes get, the only thing that has held on is I get pain just kind of in my lower right quadrant. And it's more like a pulling pain, but according to my MRI, I have uterine adhesions as well. Lucky me. So I have some adhesions that actually are attached to my large intestine. So I think that is actually what I'm feeling when I ever have any pulling or tugging sensation instead of the actual adenomyosis. I feel like the majority of the adenomyosis symptoms have decreased like 80 to 90%. Beforehand, so how much improvement have I noticed compared to before treatment? Like honestly, like I said, my symptoms have decreased 80 to 90%. And it's down to hours now instead of days. So like I said before, I would have pain for 8 days. Now I have pain for just maybe 8 hours. Have I had any follow-up scans or imaging? No, I have not yet. In talking to my doctor here, we've decided that at 6 months, we'll do an internal ultrasound and just check out the uterus and see how everything is. I'm super interested to see actually what it looks like and if it actually has shrunk or if just my symptoms have drastically improved. She said that usually it takes about 6 months for the swelling and inflammation to decrease in the uterus. So that's what we're just waiting for, just 6 months. But honestly, even if the adenomyosis lesion is still there, but it's not causing me as much pain, whatever. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's awesome. Do you need any medication post-treatment? I am taking bioidentical progesterone, 200 milligrams every night. So I am taking that just because it protects the uterus. I am not taking estrogen because that, of course, makes adenomyosis grow, as estrogen has been shown to actually feed into endometrial or adenomyosis type symptoms. So I am not taking estrogen, but I am taking the progesterone. I sleep great. I feel great. I feel it gives me that glow, but as I'm taking it to actually help protect my uterus. Do I check in with the doctor after HIFU? So I have been in contact with Mary, patient liaison, who's amazing. And I just keep them updated on how I'm doing. And they often send me messages as well, just asking how I'm doing. As far as follow-up treatment with them, from what my understanding was, is that the HIFU treatment usually will work like for about 5 or 6 years, specifically for adenomyosis patients. In 5 to 6 years, I will most likely be in menopause. So by that time, I will not need another treatment because with menopause, when we stop producing estrogen, the adenomyosis and endometrial symptoms decrease or disappear. I'm hoping that I will not have to have another treatment because I'll be in menopause and, just go on my way with life. That's what, fingers crossed. Other questions that I've been asked: would you recommend traveling for HIFU? Yes, it has changed my life. As easy as that. If you are not having access, or if you're being gaslit into saying that, treatment in China isn't world class, or that the country that you are from, they provide the best care possible, maybe it's the best care possible in that country, but it is not the best care that is available. And I would highly recommend traveling to China or another country that is well-versed in uterine adenomyosis. 100%. I've said this before. If you have any questions or comments, whatever, please leave them down below. I'll try to answer everything I can as much as I can. Honestly, it was possibly the best decision, or at least maybe top 5 decisions that I've made in my life, was to go to China for treatment. How to prepare before traveling, I took with me. Obviously, you need a visa for China, all that stuff. I'm not a travel agent, so look into that, depending upon what country you're from. With me, I took all of my most recent blood tests, medical history, and MRIs, ultrasound scans, all that stuff. So take that with you. As far as translation, you don't need to get it if it's in English, you don't need to get it translated. It's fine. I mean, with ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff, usually translation is okay. All the doctors at the hospital spoke English, very good English, so we were able to converse because my Mandarin is not that good. The nurses, some of them spoke English, and the ones assigned to me did, but the ones that did not, there was a few, but we both had translation apps, and we were able to communicate very easily through Google Translate. So download that on your phone before you go. Also, of course, going to China, download Alipay and WeChat because that's just the way that the whole world runs over there. Yeah, so just those are the apps that you need: Google Translate, Alipay, WeChat. Now, just this is completely kind of outside the realm, but as far as traveling, I downloaded an eSIM from Airlo. It was great. I bought the unlimited data package. So all the apps that you have on your phone, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, will not work in China. But if you have Airlo and an eSIM and you install it before you land in China, they work. So I didn't sign on to the hospital Wi-Fi. I just used my phone because, like I said, I had unlimited data, which was great. So then I was able to communicate completely with WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, everything at home, YouTube. So, you can watch this video while you're there. Kidding. A little bit kidding. Definitely maybe just download an eSIM so you don't have to worry about actually getting a full SIM card when you're there. So what to pack for the hospital stay and recovery? So the room was very, very nice, but quite basic. I did have a Western style toilet. That was great. But bring some comfy clothes. I brought some really warm, fuzzy socks, your normal toiletries, just kind of like your whole hotel stay. I mean, everything that they will provide you food because of the diet that you have to eat previously to do like the colon prep and stuff. It's a very bland meal. So you'll have to eat the food, but it's just like congee, rice water. You won't be hungry, but I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's not the greatest food in the world, but it was pretty good. The meals that I had before I left were delicious. Very good Chinese food. Yeah, just because you just have to eat the bland food. So just suck it up for 48 hours. I did get a lot of they give you protein powder. They also give you like glucose water and stuff to prep. So you weren't hungry. You just have to do the preparation for the procedure. Oh, okay. So the total cost, this was asked. So total cost for everything, including treatment, ultrasound, MRIs, airport pickup, airport drop off, everything was $5,000 US. So I thought it was an amazing deal, but I mean, can you put a price on your health? I would have, knowing what I know now, even if they charged me $15,000, I probably would have done it. The changes to my life and how much better I feel, I don't think I can actually put a price on that. So it was $5,000 US in China. I know in a couple of other places, Japan and South Korea, it's like $8,000 to $10,000 US dollars. Sorry. Honestly, it was worth it. And I don't know if maybe depending on some type of health insurance that you have, maybe it would cover it, but I don't know because it is a treatment that, is not in your own country. Sometimes insurance companies may pay for it, but don't quote me on that. Oh, and the payment was cash. I paid in cash. I didn't want to get there and not have my Alipay work or my WeChat or my credit card not work. So I took $5,000 US in cash with me in $100 bills. I kept it close in the airport. But when I got to China, it was fine. There's hardly any crime. China's an amazing country. Closing thoughts. I hope this video has helped dispel some of the myth that is about going to a foreign country for treatment. Going to China for treatment is a real and viable option. Just because it's not done in North America or Western Europe or maybe your doctor hasn't heard about it, doesn't mean that it's sketchy and unresearched. The research that they have into this treatment is phenomenal. Just do a quick Google search, go to fusfoundation.org. You'll see the research is there. I didn't feel like it was sketchy or unsafe at any time. I felt very well cared for. The doctors truly know what they're doing, probably more so than the majority of doctors that I've seen throughout this journey. As soon as I got there, I knew that I was in the right place at the right time. Well, maybe not the right time. Maybe the right time would have been 7 years ago when I started having problems. But honestly, I can't thank the doctors in Chongqing enough. This is a really true viable option for people. And I know a lot of people get gaslit and told that that adenomyosis doesn't hurt that much, to, oh, this treatment won't affect your life that much, you should just get a hysterectomy. I mean, that decision, if you have to make that decision, is totally okay. If you don't want kids, or if you already have kids, or stuff like that, whatever decision you make as a female, I, for one, 100% support you. For me, I didn't want to lose another organ. I've already lost 3 others. I've had tonsils, appendix, and gallbladder surgery. I didn't want to lose another organ. I didn't want to have another organ taken out of me. So I was just really, really hesitant to just go for a full hysterectomy right off the bat. But this is a full and viable option, especially if you're in your late 20s or your early 30s. I mean, God, you have so much more life to live. And the uterus just isn't there just to have kids. It's so supportive to brain function, to hormonal function. The other thing is that, really look into different types of hormonal therapy, if you can, if that is an option for you. I know a lot of people have had hysterectomies in their early 30s, and several friends of mine, and they were just left with no hormonal therapy at all. They were just they've just been thrown into menopause, and they have no backup or support. And to me, that is shocking. The other thing that I have to say is, the day after the treatment, Dr. Ma came into me and she said, how are you feeling today, Vanda? Everything going okay? And I was like, I am so 100% elated and so happy that I have done this treatment here. And I'm also 100% absolutely pissed off. And she was like, what, me? And I was like, no, not at you. I am so pissed off at the whole entire Western medical profession, because this is a viable, safe, amazing option for women. Up to 65% of women have some form of adenomyosis. And once again, women's healthcare is just getting crapped on, because this is a safe, viable option that works. I mean, even if it decreased my pain 50%, I would have been all in. But to have it decrease my pain up to, say, 90%, and this isn't offered, when I went into the foundation to try to find uterine adenomyosis treatment with HIFU in North America, there is 2 options. There is the Mayo Clinic and Stanford. And that, to me, is completely unacceptable. Why is it that women's healthcare is suffering to this extent, where this is an option to help up to 65% of women? 65%. That's 3 billion people. It makes me so angry. But I mean, I have to say, I'm really thankful to my family. And I actually got to pat myself on the back, because I took a leap and I got on a plane by myself and I flew to China, and I was there for treatment, and I just kind of surrendered, and I was like, I am here because I think this will help me. And like I said, honestly, I think it was one of the best decisions of my life. So I would like to just promote this as more this is an option. It is available. Do it. If the parameters And your case, if you have adenomyosis, if your case fits into these parameters, and if you are able to, I just highly encourage you to, because honestly, it just might save your life. I know it's done incredible job saving mine. So maybe I'll do another update video in the future. Maybe at 6 months. I mean, it's just 3.5, 4 months right now. I'll let you know how I'm doing. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you so much for all the emails. Thank you for the Facebook messages, the YouTube comments. I really appreciate you all. And I thank you so much for being here. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. And I just hope that this video somewhere out there can help another woman just live a more fulfilling life. So thanks so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon.